respected principals of our esteemed partner colleges, our distinguished resource person, Dr. Gowtham Ramkumar, who has actually delivered his session yesterday. Dear faculty participants from various institutions and my fellow colleagues, it is my immense pleasure to welcome you all for this Day 4 technical session of the Faculty Development Program on research methodology, data analysis, and role of AI. Today we gather for a session of immense relevance, of significance, on the topic ethical foundations of research. Because with the advent of these technical tools now, there's also every likelihood that we may, ignore this integrity and ethics that is, fundamentally ingrained in our research. So let me begin by extending a special welcome to our esteemed resource person, Dr. Gowtham Kumar. Good evening, sir. Assistant Professor at Christ University, Bangalore. He has been extremely, happy to be with us today as well. And we are honored to have you, sir, with us. Your experience and also expertise in guiding research with ethical integrity are greatly valued. When I went through your documents, I'm aware that you have n number of contributions, more than 30 plus research papers being published. He's also a PhD coordinator in service now as assistant professor. He was also holding that position even in Madras Christian College. So we are very happy and extremely glad to have you here today. Now, in an era of rapidly evolving technologies, where artificial intelligence is reshaping the landscape of research and also the need to remain grounded in its ethical principles is even more vital than ever before in this generation. As researchers and also educators, we also have an immense responsibility, not just to generate knowledge, but I must say that we also have a role to ensure that our methods, handling of data, and also outcomes really uphold the highest ethical standards. So today's session is especially important because it brings us back to the foundational questions. I must put this to the audience here. Not just we can do it, but should we do it? Whether we're working with human subjects or with algorithms or literature or ethics, form the bedrock of trustworthy and also impactful research. Now, to my dear colleagues and participants joining from various institutions, thank you for your enthusiastic engagement so far. We have had very animated sessions till yesterday. Your commitment to learning and development make this program very meaningful indeed. We're also deeply grateful to the principals of our partner colleges. We have 5 colleges, sir, for your kind information. We have our host institution, Union Christian College, and also Tura Christian College from Tura. Then we have other 3 colleges, Bhoi Synod College, Mawlai Presbyterian College, and also Nabon Women's Synod College. As we move on today with our session, let us reflect on how this topic will influence our role, not just as researchers, but as also mentors, as educators, and also stewards of responsible stewards of academic integrity. Once again, a very warm welcome to all. So we look forward to having a very enriching and thought-provoking session. Thank you. So I must also give my formal apology. Till yesterday, we could not able your chat, and so but today we have switched over to something different. And so everyone, if you're feel like asking us anything, you can always give your thoughts there in the chat box. So over to you, sir. And then time starts now and up to 9 o'clock, and we will finally take the Q&A at the last 15 minutes, perhaps. Okay. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, and good evening to all the participants. Glad to meet you all on the second day with me. So glad to meet you all, and very happy that nearly many of you have joined here. My sincere appreciations to each and every one of you for taking your time out and having reached here. I always believe that no, the commitment to learning should always be there at different levels, and learning is a continuous process. I am glad that many have joined in this forum as well. Uh, may I request your, yeah, thank you. I got it. Can you all just let me know if my screen is visible and is it in
Yeah,
the,
it's visible. It's visible, sir. Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So today we are going to discuss no, one of the important topics uh, on our research angle, which is basically ethical considerations in research. What are some of the key ethical considerations that we have in research, right? So this is going to be our topic of discussion probably for the next 1.5 hours, and we will explore various dimensions, ethical dimensions in our research process when we are engaged in ourselves in research. So, as you all know, I belong to Department of Commerce, School of Commerce, Finance and Accountancy, Christ Chip University, Bangalore Central Campus. So, before we talk about various ethical considerations in research, let us quickly look into, all right, let us quickly look into what is considered as breach of business research integrity, or you can even consider even in any other research context also, all these are considered as breach of research ethics integrity or breach of research integrity. So some of the practices that we will be discussing as we move forward is with regard to, one is fabrication. There is something called as falsification. Of course, most of us are aware about plagiarism. Then there is also something called as harking, right? What is harking? Basically, no, you hypothesize after your results. So you go a reverse approach. You do the data collection, analysis, and all those things. Then, based on your results, you try to hypothesize things. That is called as harking. That is also seen as a breach of research integrity, and massaging the your research data to better suit conclusions. So all these practices are basically considered as no, breach of research integrity as well, right? So please ensure we are not doing that. So let's move on to some of the ethical considerations in research. The very first ethical considerations that we need to keep in mind whenever we are doing our research is informed consent. What does mean by informed consent? As researchers, we must obtain more explicit and informed consent from our participants, right? Say, for example, whatever study it's going to be, whether it's going to be qualitative or a quantitative study where participants are involved, as researchers, it is our responsibility to obtain an explicit and informed consent from the participants. So now the question that naturally arises, what is meant by that informed consent? What should the participant be informed? Informed consent means clearly explaining what is the purpose of your research, what is the purpose of the research that you are carrying on, how you are utilizing this data, is there any potential risk associated with this because I participate in your research study. So all these are the three important elements. So you need not communicate A to Z about your research study, but what is very important, what is necessary for a participant to know before they participate in your research. So ideally they will be expecting why, what is this research you are doing about, for what purpose. Sometimes it may be for no, sometimes you'll say this is for the purpose of award of my PhD degree, or for the fulfillment of as requirement of fulfillment, or you're doing it as of a funded project. What is the purpose? All right, then you should also make them very clearly understand that how you are going to utilize this data. All right, so if for example I am participating in your research, how will you deal my data? All right, how you are going to utilize the data which you are going to collect from me. Are there any potential risk or any problems that I as a participant will face because of participating in your research? So you should make these points very clearer, right? You should make these points very clearer to the participant, right? So after you make these points very clear, all right, after you make these points very clear, right, participants should realize that their participation in your research is voluntary. Why it is voluntary? Because you already clearly tell them, or you already clearly explained them what is the purpose of doing this research, how your data is going to be used, are there any potential risk. So once, since this is made very clear, so it should be made very clear that participants are participating in your research studies is purely voluntary in nature. Why voluntary? We are specifically telling because you already told them, right? You are not hiding anything and telling, right, asking them to participate in your research. So you made it very clear. So I am aware. You have told me these are the what is the purpose. So I am ready to voluntarily participate. What is very much important? You can withdraw at any time without any consequences, right? You should also ensure that participants can withdraw at any time without any consequence, right? So that is called as informed consent. Most of the time, sometimes there are cases in business and management research, sometimes which is taken care by some of the organizations where this informed consent is breached. Okay, which means this is not followed, right? So as researchers, we should ensure we are getting an informed consent from our participants. So what is one such example? One such example is Facebook emotional contagion experiment, which happened in 2014. So what happened here? Researchers manipulated the news feeds of various Facebook users to study the emotional contagion without obtaining informed consent from the participants. So this is seen as a serious breach. What is the breach? Because they did not obtain informed consent from the participants. So what were the consequences? The group faced lot of widespread criticisms from the public and even from the academic community, leading to increased scrutiny on how social media platforms are used for conducting the research. So they conducted, no, they studied the emotion of the people without getting their informed consent through the news feeds that we put on, that as users, we put it across Facebook. All right. So it was become one talk of the town. You could see, New York Times was talking about that. Los Angeles Times was talking about that, right? No national journals. Lot of legal actions the company was faced. Right? You could see the Facebook faced formal complaint manipulating the user's emotion. All right. So always remember, whenever you are conducting your right, you should ensure that the informed consent is obtained from the participants. The second ethical consideration that we are going to discuss is with regard to confidentiality. The second important consideration that we are going to discuss is confidentiality. What is confidentiality? As researchers, you must protect the confidentiality of the participants. What is meant by protecting the confidentiality of the participants? By protecting the confidentiality of the participants means you ensure that the personal information is kept private and the data is stored securely. Right? It means you are going to keep the personal information that you are collecting from the participants for your research study purpose. It is kept private. Whatever data that you are going to collect from your participants, it is stored very secure manner, in a very secured manner. All right. So anonymizing data can help participants' identity. So as researchers, it is very much important that you keep their personal information. That's why some of the times when you see the PhD questionnaires coming, they will clearly say your data will be utilized only for academic purpose. Whatever data we are collecting from you, it will be kept confidential, right? How you are going to secure the data, all these clear guidelines, you can inform the participant so that they feel confident to participate in your research study and they do not have any dilemma that your topic would be your data, my data will be misused, or my personal information will be shared, all those things, right? So it is very much important that you keep this particular perspective in mind, right? So it is very much important that you protect the confidentiality of the participant as researchers, all right? There was also one such breach which happened, all right? There was also one such breach which had happened in terms of no, confidentiality, where one of the organizations, they breached, they did not protect the private information of the participant. Instead, they start, because of their marketing campaign, they inadvertently no, revealed one of the secrets of the participant, secret of their customers to their family members, because they started advertising, right, with the intention of business. I mean that in that process they missed it. What is that? Let us see. So this happened. Target data breach is one such example of where the company, where no, they breached this confidentiality, right? What Target company did? It used predictive analytics, right? Why did they use predictive analytics? Because they use predictive analytics to identify pregnant customers, and in to those customers and to their mail ID, right? They started sending advertisements to them, right? They started sending advertisements to them. Once again, yes. So they started sending advertisements to them. So once again, there is some clear drawings. Yeah. So they started sending targeted advertisements to them, to the pregnant, so to their pregnant customers, and inadvertently, what happened, revealing their pregnancy status to their family members. So even before they communicate, the customers communicate to their family members. Because of these advertisements, they got to know their pregnancy status. So this is seen as one of the ethical breach or breach of confidentiality. Why? Because you have revealed sensitive information through your marketing practices. So it was found that it was a massive data breach which has happened. Even Target CIO was supposed to resign because of this breach. So it created a lot of negative publicity for the company, and it also faced a lot of widespread criticisms for violating customer privacy. So always remember, you may think it might be happening with the case of the company, but also as an individual researchers, we should ensure that we are taking care of all these aspects, right? We should ensure the confidentiality of the participants. When we mean confidentiality of the participants, it means you protect the personal information in a very you keep their personal information private. What is the next one? The next important ethical consideration in research is basically your privacy, all right? Which is basically your privacy. So as participants, you should ensure you are maintaining, you are respecting the privacy of the participants. Now, how you can rectify, or how you can, no, maintain or respect the privacy of the participants, right? By avoiding intrusive methods, or as I told, by protecting your any sensitive information. All right, as researchers, you should respect participants' privacy by avoiding any intrusive methods and protecting sensitive information. Another way to respect privacy is that you should collect only data that is relevant and needed for your study. All right, you should collect only data that is relevant and necessary for your research study. Correct? You should collect only data that is relevant and necessary. So don't over ask, don't under ask also. So whenever you are asking any questions to the respondent, or whenever you want to collect any data from your participants, your data collection instrument should be designed in such a way that you collect only relevant information from the participants. So don't over collect information, don't under collect information also. Sometimes why I could say, why I'm making this statement, because sometimes people add fillers in their questionnaires because the number of questions is very less. So they keep adding fillers. Okay, they keep adding fillers to the participants. Okay, they keep adding fillers questions just to have large number of questions. Please don't do that. All right. You ask only questions. You ask only those things that is relevant and necessary for your study. So one such breach that has happened is with regard to Cambridge Analytica scandal. So Cambridge Analytica scandal, what has happened? Cambridge Analytica, it harvested personal data from millions of Facebook profiles without user consents to influence political campaigns. So without getting the permission, so it is also a breach of informed consent, and it is also a breach of privacy of the participants. So without their consent, they took lot of personal data of the Facebook users and used them for political campaigns. So this is seen as a serious ethical breach where the user privacy is violated. So what happened consequently? The company faced lot of legal investigations. Significant fines were imposed for Facebook, and it becomes a global debate on data privacy and ethics. All right. So always it is very much important. That's why we told, right? You should use the data only for your analysis. No sharing the data with no, even if you are going to collect online, no, your responses. Naturally, your Google form also what it captures the email ID of the participants. Correct. If you enable that setting, you should not think, okay, I'm going to help my fellow mates for their conferences like that and share that email ID list to them. That is unethical. All right, that is unethical. Without no, because sometimes I also remember one mail I got for PhD questionnaire filling up. All right, I think that person has no CC'd almost 100 plus 150. I think probably from his conference this thing. No, he had got. One person was giving the using that reply to all option. You all know, right? Reply to all option, and he was asking, how did you come to know about my email address, and who provided my email address without my consent, right? So it is very important as researchers we protect the data privacy of the participant. Just give me 1 minute. So it is very much important that we protect the user privacy, or even your respondents privacy whenever we are conducting our research. Okay, that is very much essential. The next important consideration that we are going to look at now is with regard to avoiding harm. Can anybody tell me what do we mean by avoiding harm? Can somebody text in the chat box? What do we mean by avoiding harm? What do we mean by avoiding harm? Any guesses? Any guesses? What do we mean by avoiding harm? Avoid putting any participants to danger. Excellent. Very good. Yes. Good. Yes. Okay. At least I got one. Okay. It is especially in experiment research. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Correct. Right. Very good. All right. So what is mean by avoiding harm means, as a researcher, all right, your research, especially this normally happens in experimental research. Yes, no negative impact, correct. As researchers, you should design your research in such a way it does not cause any sort of physical or psychological or sometimes even emotional harm to the participant. So please understand, avoid harm doesn't mean only causing only physical harm. It can be physical harm, it can be psychological harm, or it can also be emotional harm also. So as researchers, you should not create any sort of physical, psychological, or emotional harm to the participants, right? So as researchers, all right, you should anticipate what sort of potential risk that can arise and take steps to minimize them. So you should know, especially as somebody pointed out, whenever you are doing an experimental research, all those kinds of stuffs, right? You should anticipate what kind of potential problems that it can bring and accordingly take steps to minimize them. Otherwise, it will be a problem, right? Otherwise, it will be a problem, right? You should always, as researchers, it is your responsibility, right? Because you are trusting you, participants are coming and participating in your research. So it is very much important that you anticipate what are the possible risks and take steps to minimize them. So one such breach which happened is no one of the very popular experiment which happened, which is with regard to Stanford prison experiment. How many of you are already aware of Stanford prison experiment? How many of you are already aware of Stanford prison experiment? Yes, aware. Very good. Okay. Anybody else who are aware, already aware of this? Okay, fine. So what happened? One of the researchers in Stanford University, right, he wants to understand. He conducted an experimental research to understand what sort of no psychological stress that prisoners go through. Right, what sort of psychological stress that prisoners go through. So for that, what they did, right, participants were subject. So he considered, he made some of his students as prisoners and some of the professors as wardens. All right, and what has happened in the process, right, participants were made to severe or extreme psychological stress where they started behaving like prisoners only, and these people were behaving like real wardens only. So it caused a serious breach, and later the study was terminated much early. Rather, it was, I think, it was supposed to be conducted for 12 to 14 days, but it was dropped on the sixth day, fifth or sixth day itself, and this is seen as a serious breach of no avoiding harm to the participants. So what was happened? Participants were subjected to extreme psychological stress and harm in a simulated prison environment, which they are not supposed to do. As I told you, right, in the previous case, you should not create any sort of harm, whether it is a physical harm or a psychological harm or emotional harm, you should not create, right? But participants are subject to such kinds of psychological stress and harm in a simulated prison environment, and ethical breach, failure to avoid fail. So the researcher failed to uh, avoid harm to the participant, and despite knowing, researcher was not ready to stop the experiment, but later on it was stopped, right? So what was the consequence of this? The study was terminated much early, and it led to significant changes in the ethical guidelines for conducting psychological and social experiments. Right. So as even this need not even, sometimes whenever you are going for, say for example, survey oriented questions also, right, you should not ask questions that may cause emotional harm to the participants also, right? That's why you should be very careful in crafting your questions, right? You should be very careful in crafting your questions to the participants, right? Don't ask any unnecessary sensitive questions unless you need it. If you don't need it, don't ask, right? So because what now the question might come, what is sensitive, what is not sensitive? That is also depending on the participants, right? Sometimes you cannot ask the marital status, single, married. Some people will feel offended if you give the options like divorced or widowed, all those things. Instead, you better stop single, married, preferred not to say. All right. And for sometimes even people take, do you smoke that or do you drink? Right. Even these kinds of questions, people feel it more sensitive. Right. So whenever you are asking any questions which you feel it is more of sensitive or something no mm, where people will try to give not very comfortable in answering, please avoid unless your study needs the same. Right, unless your study needs the same. The next ethical consideration in research is integrity and honesty. Right, that is one of the essential qualities no that every researcher should have. All right, can somebody give some examples where no integrity or honesty is violated? Have you come across any such situations where ethics, no, like integrity and honesty are violated? Yes. Any instances as no in your research journey where you come across this integrity honesty is not much, you really felt that integrity was breached, there is no honesty, any such situations? Yes. Have you come across any instances? Yes. Can you give plagiarism and data fabrication? Yes, we will talk about that little later also. Okay, good. Any other? Okay, fine. Okay. So, integrity, right, and honesty, especially here, we are talking in the context of disclosing any potential conflict of interest that might affect the research or its interpretation. Can you give some examples of any conflict of interest? What is conflict of interest? Okay. What is mean by conflict of interest? What is mean by conflict of interest? Sometimes when you publish also they ask, right? Journals ask you, right? No potential conflict of interest. What could be the conflict of interest? What could be the conflict? What are the different ways in which conflict of interest can happen? What are the different ways in which, is it maintaining transparency? Of course, one perspective that is correct in terms of what? Transparency in terms of what? Sometimes journals ask, right? Statement of declaring of conflict of interest. What is that conflict of interest? Say for example, I am part of where ideology and even politics affect the outcomes of the research work. Yes. Funding influence. Very good. Okay. Funding influence. Okay. Two or more authors work together. Okay. Authorship sponsors. Okay. See, for example, let's take the funding influence. Right. Let's take the funding influence. Say for example, I am no, I am one of the uh, say for example, I'm one of the editors of one of the premier journals, and I also work. Say for example, uh, no, I work in no, you all know now. Say for example, I work at Christ University, right? Now I am also serving as editor of. I am also serving as one of the associate editors of a uh, uh, what do you call, maybe any one premier journal. Say for example, I am receiving no, on my window, on my editorial manager, a paper from a faculty who from the Christ University submitting the paper to the journal. Now, can I take a decision on that, or how should I proceed? How should I proceed in this case? How should I proceed in this case? How should I proceed in this case? How will you proceed in this case? Or you put yourself into the shoe. You are part of, you are working as a professor of one university, and you are also serving as a associate editor, and in that journal you get no one paper which is from your faculty, from your own organization. How will you do? How will you proceed with this? How will you proceed in this situation? Because you are associate editor, you know who are the authors. Of course, for reviewers, no, if we follow double blind, we will remove all the author affiliation details and then only we say, right? But how would you deal with this situation? Or do you feel, is there any conflict of interest scenario arriving here? Is there any potential conflict of interest situation arising here? And say, for example, you are also one of the authors in that paper. You are also one of the authors in that paper. How will you do? Multiple roles is not a problem. See, you can serve in the editorial board of the journal when you are working as professor in any university. That is not a conflict. All right. You are receiving a paper from a faculty who's working in your own institution, and also that paper also carries your author. You are also one of the authors, because you know you all collaborated and write, and that person is the corresponding author, so it has submitted. Yes, submitted. This is why this is actually a situation of a conflict of interest. Why? Because I am now in the position to decide on this particular article, should it go or not, right? But that also it is coming from my own faculty, my own university faculty. At the same time, my name is also there. So what I should ideally do, I should represent this matter to the editor-in-chief, stating that one of I belong to one institution, and from that institution only I have got the paper, and I have got also the paper which carries my name as author. So there is a personal conflict of, there is both personal and professional conflict of interest. So you should communicate it to the editor. What I will do, I will write immediately a mail. See, you have assigned one paper to me. I am the author in that paper, and the faculties are also from the my own institution, right? So please navigate that to another associate editor, not why? Because you have professional interest. Probably you might, it all again depends. Again, that's where the integrity and honesty might come. All right. If you are honest, still you go unbiased and evaluate. Otherwise, what can happen? It is our my own colleague paper, so let us accept it. Or let us give only minor revisions. Right? That is called conflict of interest. So you should not have any conflict of interest. And as sir pointed out, right? If such conflict of interest situation arises, you should intimate it to your editor-in-chief. So your editor-in-chief will take a final call whether you can do that, whether that conflict will potentially influence the outcome, right? If both the authors, then if both the authors have completed the paper knowingly, there would no. It's not about authors, right? See, I am in the position to decide whether to accept your paper or reject your paper. Correct? Now, if what most of the people might do, if it is my own paper, they will naturally accept. No, they may not be willing to reject. Correct? Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? So naturally, how will I go think of rejecting when it is a paper from my own colleague and I am there as the author, right? I may not think rejecting that, right? So evaluation may not happen on a rigor mode. So that's why it is the responsibility as associate editor of the journal. Yes, that depends, right? That depends upon if you are objective enough, you will still go and reject also. And sometimes you might reject because you don't like that faculty also. Correct? Lot of personal subjective bias can play. So that's where what you do, you go and tell your editor-in-chief. I am the associate. Say I have received one paper which is assigned to me. I have a potential conflict of interest there, right? I have a potential conflict of interest there, right? So you please consider reassigning it to some other editor, so that let them take a fair and equitable call also. All right. So this is called conflict of interest situation, right? We should handle that. See, I know some of the universities, they don't even allow, say for example, if my cousin is studying in any of the undergraduate programs, some universities will not allow me to value, because there is always a personal conflict of interest is there. Instead, they will give me some other papers to evaluate, but not the same section, same students, right? They will not give. All right. So that is always there. So that is what we mean here: integrity and honesty, right? Which includes, it can include any form. It can include personal, financial, or professional interest that could either bias the study, right? That could bias the study. So that is very much important, that as researchers, right, we should ensure, no, as sir pointed out, if that is the case, you should be transparent. Transparency means what? You should inform the editor immediately, right? As journal editor or as journal reviewer, you should tell them immediately that no, you have such potential conflict of interest, so let them take a call. So editor-in-chief will investigate the situation, right? Whether this conflict will influence the outcome. If it influences outcome, he will not assign that paper to you. He might assign it to somebody else, all right? Some other associate editor, which you may not be also aware, all right? So that will be happen. Otherwise, sir, no, it will not much have any much serious implications on the outcome. Then immediately, okay, you can still go ahead because I declared it. It is the conflict of interest. So personal, financial, professional interests that could bias the study, right? You should clearly disclose. What is the idea, intention is disclose. If you have any such financial, personal, or professional interest, you should disclose that, that it affects the research and its interpretations, right? That's why even journals, premier journals, when they ask, is there any conflict of interest, right? They will ask. In that case, you should declare. If there is any such financial, personal, or professional interest, that you disclose, so that then editor-in-chief will decide on your article also, whether it needs to be taken forward or how to deal with it. So you should not hide any such, or you should not prevent yourself from disclosing any such potential conflict of interest. Clear? So one such thing which happened with one of the professors is from Tilburg University in 2011 is that so he fabricated lot of data, right? Staple fabricated lot of no and manipulated data in their research study. Lack of integrity and honesty. It is seen as no serious breach of integrity and honesty in research. But later he was asked question why did he, because he was known for that, and he was asked, he said it is because of academic pressure, that appraisal pressure to score points. He did like that. Otherwise, he no uh, he is sincerely committed. All those things he told, but still, a lot of his papers were retracted, and he was dismissed from his academic position, and it is a severe damage to his professional reputation as well. So sometimes conflict of interest can also arise. No, in terms of sometimes even I know I came across this particular no retraction of an entire book in the LinkedIn. Okay, what is the problem in this book is that editors no they were claiming authorship in all the chapters. The book contains 12 to 13 chapters, sorry, 13 to 15 chapters. In all the papers they added their name as authors, either third author, fourth author, fifth author, like that, right? So later on, it was brought to the knowledge of Springer, and it was retracted. It was retracted, right? Because there is conflict of interest. I am the editor, I am the author, means what is the possibility that, and how you can become author of all 15 chapters, right? So it created a lot of potential conflict of interest, and it was retracted. So please do not, it's always better to keep the no publishers informed when such situation arises. The next ethical right, that several respondents don't want to furnish data in Google form. In this type of situation, what can a researcher do? See, that's what. See, participation of the respondents is very voluntary, right? Probably you start your Google form with a clear intimation who you are, right? What is your study? Why you are doing this study? How they will protect how you are going to protect your data? All those things you can keep them well in advance. That should be the first step, and followed by which there should be the informed consent, which states I understand the purpose and I understand also my participation in this voluntary. Let that statement be first to be acknowledged, and then you take it forward. Why people don't accept Google form? Because all these reasons only, right? They, right, as I told, your email ID is captured, and later on people share the database with many people, and they keep getting lot of emails, questionnaires like this, or conference invitations like this. Sometimes some people will be happy, some may not be feel happy, no. They might ask, how come these people know my email ID, right? And it is like a data breach. That's why sometimes people is very hesitant to answer in the Google form. So you better mention your data, whatever email ID I am collecting from you, your name, everything, it will be kept confidential. It will not be utilized for any other purpose. You keep them informed. Then there are chances people will definitely respond. And sometimes people may not respond. No, there are other kinds of aspect also when we talk about responses, right? If your questionnaire is going to be too long, it's going to be too technical, people may not be very much interested, no, to answer your response. There could be many reasons why people may not be ready to respond also. Probably the study may not be relevant to your need, correct? Or for example, I remember once I got one Google form, right? Then they asked, you have to, that person was keep on asking me, you fill this form, you fill this form, please. But that questionnaire is no way connected to me, because when I opened that form, it was asking, you should be a parent. First of all, I am not a parent. And then you should be somewhere between, no, your child should have been born in between 1990 to 1995. I only born in 1995. How will my child will born in 1995? Right? So I cannot answer. All right. So sometimes you might in mass you will send it across, no, across different category, but naturally you end up no, you respond and feel in no way it is relevant for them. All right. So they may not answer. There could be a lot of reasons. Not necessarily only a ethical breach could be a problem. As I told, no, these reasons. I also shared once. I got one more Google form only response, right? And that statement told, sir, it will hardly take 5 minutes for you to complete, right? And when I ventured into that questionnaire only for finishing the first section only, it took me 10 minutes, right? Finishing the section one of that questionnaire only, it took me 10 minutes. But the person told you will be able to finish all the questions in 10 minutes. Like that, four sections were there. Almost 60 to 65. People do not have patience unless they are so much committed. There could be lot of reasons, sir. So you need not worry about that. All right. So as researchers, we should respect the rights of the participants. What is the right of the participant? As I told in the very beginning, participants' participation in your research is voluntary. And if they wanted to withdraw, you should allow them to withdraw without any consequence. So you should not tell, no, 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 you agreed, no, you should complete. No such things. Right? As researchers, we should respect the rights of the participants, including their right to withdraw from the study, their right to be informed about research, and they have their right to have their data protected. Right? Researchers should respect the rights of the participants, including their right to withdraw from the study and their right to be informed about the research and to have their data protected. Clear? This is very much important. How many of you are aware of HeLa cells? How many of you are aware of HeLa cells? HeLa cells. Yes. What is that? Can you put little briefly on what is HeLa cells? I could see a Zoom user, right? So can you just brief what is HeLa cells? Can you just brief what is HeLa cells? Anyhow, I'm coming to that point only. What is HeLa cells? Cervical cancer cells. Okay. What it is popularly known for? Okay, fine, no problem, right? Right. So, HeLa cells are nothing but Henrietta Lacks cells, right? Henrietta Lacks cells. HeLa cells in sciences are popularly known for immortalized cells. So, what is this? How this name came? Because of the name Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks is name of a woman. Okay, Henrietta Lacks is the name of a woman, right? So what researchers did, they once she died because of cervical cancers, and researchers used Henrietta Lacks cells for scientific research without her consent. Neither her family was informed for decades. Right. So basically, there is a person called Jonas Salk. Okay, he developed polio vaccine with these cells, right? But he did not intimated. Neither her consent was obtained. Her family was also not informed. So this is seen as a breach of respecting the rights and autonomy of the participants. Right? It became a serious debate about consent and use of human biological materials in research. Similar kind of case happened even in Harvard Business School. All right. Harvard Business School in 2013, they came out with a study called as the business of art. All right. What is this case study? As when you know, right, one of some of the ethical considerations in research, correct? So what happened? A case study titled "Business of Art" was criticized for using real life examples and sensitive personal information about the participants. So in the case study, what they did, they used the real life examples and they used sensitive information about the participants. right? So the case basically talked about no India. It basically contained detailed discussions of individuals, artists, uh, discussions, and financial uh, no challenges, but they did not obtain any sort of consent about using their personal information in this manner. So even that was considered as a breach of participants' right. Right. So as researchers, it is our responsibility, right? As researchers, it is our responsibility to keep informed, right? To respect the rights and autonomy of the participants. Clear? The next one, the next ethical consideration that we have is transparency. Okay, now somebody talked about transparency. What is transparency? What is transparency? What do we mean by transparent? All right, we are getting into that point now. What are the different ways as researchers we can be transparent in our research process? I could see a lot of questions. We will take it up during our Q&A. Okay, we will take up all those questions during Q&A as instructed in the beginning. Okay, so don't worry, sir is not answering. Sir will answer all your questions at the end. Okay, during our Q&A. Now tell me, right? What are the different ways as researchers we can be transparent? What are the different ways, right? As researchers, we can be transparent. To inform participant about our research, very good. Then, right? Then, any other way? Giving acknowledgement. Okay, good. Then, references. Okay. Okay. Any other means from publishing angle? From publishing angle? Yeah, citation it's always required. Avoiding manipulation of data. Okay, we'll come to that point later. Okay. See, yeah, to seek their personal data, ensuring their confidentiality. Okay, I'm still not getting the exact point which I'm looking for. Publish, open access, or archive. No preprints. Okay, no hidden agenda. Data should be one's own, not plagiarized. Okay. See, where is one area in our publication, right? One area in our publication where no transparency is very much expected is in terms of how, as researchers, how transparent you are in communicating about your research methods. How did you collect your data? How transparent are you in your analysis process? Right? Whenever you are reporting your research study, you should be transparent about the research method or the protocol that you had followed. Right? Similarly, you should be transparent about your data collection process and your data analysis process. Do you all know nowadays journals ask for data file? Because most of you are telling no data breach. Okay, we all know that nowadays, no, some of the good journals, they are asking you to submit data file, mandatory. How many of you are aware? They ask you to submit their data file whenever you are uploading the paper. They ask you to upload data file. Why is to check is there any manipulation and all those things. So you should be good enough to provide. They will not misuse. Okay, that you need not worry about. So as researchers, you should be yes, correct. Right, as researchers, you should be transparent about your research methods, your data collection, and your analysis process as well. So this will ensure the credibility of the research and allow others to verify and replicate your findings also. Right, this helps to ensure the credibility of the research and allow others to verify and replicate the findings. So you should be transparent in your research process. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are reporting, you should not hide any such sort of informations. You should not hide or no. If I tell this, people will not accept my paper. No, all such things. You should be 100% transparent in communicating your research methods, your data collection, and your analysis, all those things. So when you are transparent, in other way, you are promoting the credibility of the research. Only if you did some mistake, you will try to hide. No, if you have followed every ethical protocols, no, then there is no problem. Correct. So you can ensure the credibility of your research by allowing others to verify and replicate the findings. VIAX clinical trials, 2004. Right. So what happened? This is one of VIAX clinical trials, which was one of the drugs which Merck wants to introduce. But what they did, they lacked transparency. What is the transparency? This drug is subject to cardiovascular risk, but it was not revealed. So what Merck did, they allegedly concealed the data about cardiovascular risk of the drug VIAX during the clinical trials. So which is stated there is lack of transparency in reporting the research findings. The drug was withdrawn from the market and the Merck faced lot of legal actions and significant penalties also. Similar kind of instance happened in when in 2016 there was a research study conducted on management practices at Simon. Right, in 2016 there was a research study conducted by a researcher in Siemens about Siemens management practices. Right, but whenever after the results came, right, it was found there is a transparency issue. What is the transparency issue? Right, researcher indirectly added or indirectly had some financial ties with the company. All right, so this was no reflected in the research findings. So there is a lack of disclosure regarding the same, that about the kind of, and this is also an example of conflict of interest also. Right, financial ties with the company that was never disclosed, and it was like, oh, the management practice is very good at Simon's company and all those things. But later on, it was found that this researcher who had conducted this research had some no financial ties with the company, and he reported the findings. So that basically questioned the credibility of the research findings and the transparency in the research process. Right. Next important consideration is ethical consideration in research's social responsibility. Right. Researchers should consider the broader social implications of their research, right? Researchers should consider the broader social. As researchers, we should keep broader social implication that our research will create. What sort of impact that our research will create on the society? As somebody pointed out earlier, your research should not have any sort of negative impact on the society. For example, like if you take in scientific research, in uh, in many countries, how many of you are aware of cloning? What is mean by cloning? Can somebody text it in the chat box? What is cloning? Right? What is cloning? Producing identical organism. So whether human cloning is allowed or not allowed. Human cloning is against nature of law, right? So you are going to tell, no, 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 I'm going to conduct research. Human cloning means that is having a severe negative impact on the society. So you are not supposed to conduct those kinds of scientific research, which goes anything against prevailing law in the country, which goes anything against the nature and all those things. You are not supposed to conduct. So as researchers, we should consider all these perspectives. What sort of impact our research will have on the society, right? That should be considered. As researchers, we should always, as somebody pointed out, I think during our earlier discussion also, right? They told, no, our research should not have any sort of negative impact. So that is what. Also, we should also, we should always have a social responsibility whenever you are carrying out your research work. So, as researchers, it is our responsibility that our research, no, basically positively contributes to the society, and it does not reinforce any harmful stereotype or biases in the society. So always you should consider the broader implications. So if you take, for example, in Christ, we emphasize on impactful research. Impactful research means what? In what way our research is going to benefit, no, solve industry problems or going to benefit the society also. All right. So that is your this thing. All right. That is your research. As researchers, we should ensure our research positively contributes to the society and do not reinforce any harmful stereotypes or biases. So one such thing which happened was with regard to no, Wells Fargo fake account scandal, which happened in 2016. Right. So what happened here in Wells Fargo company, Wells Fargo employees, they created millions of unauthorized bank accounts to meet sales target. So this was seen as lack of social responsibility and ethical conduct in business practices. The company faced fines, lawsuits, a damaged reputation, leading to leadership changes and shift in company policies as well. There was also no Wharton School and the Lehman Brothers. We all know Lehman Brothers, right? 2008. So what happened during 2008? No, when the world was facing the financial crisis, an academic paper from Wharton School analyzed uh, no Lehman Brothers, right, risk management practices, and that paper was severely criticized for not adequately considering the social impact of companies collapse. So what was the focus was primarily on technical financial analysis, and they did not they completely ignored the social responsibility on how management practices can influence employee, investors, and the economy. So that angle was never considered. So simply based on technical analysis, they produced this is great company, but you know Lehman Brothers how it become in bankrupt, right? How it becomes no, one of the popular company collapsed. Right. So whenever you are doing your research, you should keep that broad social implications in mind. Right. You should keep broad social implications in mind. Clear? Yes. Now, the next one is with regard to ethical approval. So, any research should have IRB approval, ethical clearance, right? Every university will have something called as institutional review board or ethics committee, right? Before conducting any research, it is often necessary for you all to submit your research proposal to your institutional review board or ethics committee. Right? This ethics committee will scrutinize your proposal, right? So that it meets the ethical standards and protects the participants' right. So they give a clearance. Journals do ask for REC certificate, Research Ethicals Clearance Certificate numbers. How many of you are aware of that? How many of you are aware of that? Do you know some journals ask ethical clearance certificate? Yes, right? They do ask for ethical clearance certificate and they ask you to specify that number, right? Ethical clearance certificate number, right? So as the researchers, you are supposed, before conducting any research, it is often necessary to submit your research proposal to IRB and get it ethically cleared, right? That is very much important. Right? So otherwise it is seen as a breach. Okay, so once such happened, what happened in university? They should constitute. You should constitute that committee. Okay, they should have that committee. You cannot say we don't have a thing. Right? Institution should have that committee in place to clear off all those things. Okay. If it is not there, we can inform that IRB should be there. No, that should scrutinize all those things. Okay. So no compromise on that. So similar kind of case happened in 2010 also, some 10, 15 years back, right? In University of Michigan, right? Where they conducted, uh, what they conducted? They conducted about resilience in the workplace in University of Michigan only, right? Workplace resilience at University of Michigan. Then it was faced severe backlash because the study was conducted without proper ethical approval. So the study collected lot of sensitive data from employees without adequate oversight, all right? Ethical oversight without the review or approval, right? So lot of breach. So it is very much important you get your IRB clearance, right? You get the IRB clearance. Right. One such example which happened is the Didier Rolt. So what happened with the Didier Rolt? He is from French, I think. So two journals of a leading microbiology society retracted 6 articles by Didier Rolt after university investigation found breach of research ethics in his work. A seventh article was also retracted for ethical issues. Okay, let's read what is that report stated. The report stated that according to the investigation report, the sentence in the letter reading, so he submitted one letter. In that he stated that the study which was performed was after ethical approval by local ethics committee, and it also gave that number, see accession number 10002 2010. Okay, so which is incorrect. So what does it stated further? It states furthermore, this kind of study conducted for research purpose falls under the French law, have been submitted to CPP, Committee of Protection of Persons. So they clearly gave a report that formally this paper could not be in conformity with the declaration of Helsinki and the French law and regulations. In the light of the severity of the research ethics breach indicated by these findings and in accordance with both guidelines, this article is retracted. Right? It is retracted. So always it is very much important that, see, even after publication people can chase you out, right? Don't think once published a problem over. See, most of these papers were retract after publication only. So it is very much important that no, you all obtain the ethical clearance. This is very one, I'm going to throw it on you all. So what is falsification, what is fabrication, what is fabrication, what is falsification, what is fabrication, what is falsification, what is fabrication, and what is falsification? All right, what is fabrication and falsification? Fabrication, yes, we create our own data, correct? What is falsification? Yes, creating artificial data. Very good. Falsification is manipulating your data or manipulating images, all those things, right? So that is falsification. That is falsification, right? So this is very much important, right? So as researchers, right? So university recommends 7 more retractions for a psychology researcher because he was found of guilt of manipulating misconduct, including no, fabricating the data, right? Making up research data and results and recording or reporting. Fabricating means, as you all said, making your own data, making up your own research data and results and recording or reporting them. Falsification means, right, you manipulate research materials, images, or your data, or your equipment or processes, right? You actually, falsification can include no changing or omitting data or results in such a way that research is not accurately represented, right? Uh, so sometimes people falsify the data because they wanted to get a desired end result of a study. All right. So one such case happened in Netherlands, which came in the social media, right? Which came, right? I'm not taking any personalized information. What is there on the web internet I'm taking. Okay. So 2 years after, a psychology researcher in the Netherlands was found guilty of misconduct, including manipulating data and cutting co-workers' publication. Right. So she was found guilty by an investigation at Lydian University to obtain ethical approvals and so on. So please do not involve in fabrication and falsification. Don't make up your data, okay, and report them or record them. And similarly, don't falsify your data as well. So it's as a researcher, that's why again, if you do this, you are not transparent enough also. So many other violation is also happening, right? Right? Please take care of that. The next comes plagiarism. All right. The next comes the plagiarism. What is plagiarism? So, a president of Japanese university resigns after findings of plagiarism. Right. Self plagiarism also. Right. After 2 investigations, he found he self plagiarized or double submitted a dozen papers. Then Toshiaki Miyazaki, right, filed an application for project subsidized by the national government without going through the university official procedures, which caused confusion. So he resigned effectively. So what is plagiarism? This is a very easy question. Now everyone can answer. What is plagiarism? Copying someone else's work without citing them. What do you mean by that someone else's work? Is it like just mere copying, right? Right? Is it like copying someone else's work means? Do you just copy sentence like that? Wordings? Is that you mean something copying? Yes, of course. Copying somebody else's work and showing as it is our own. Ah, correct. Very good. So plagiarism, you should not think just copying of sentences, phrases. Okay. Plagiarism means copying. It can include the copying of the data, copying of the words, copying of the phrases, copying of the ideas, copying of the concepts. All right. So one of the most common types of plagiarism misconduct, I mean publication misconduct, is your plagiarisms. Right? Is your plagiarisms where you desperately copy somebody else's work without giving proper credit. So even if you do, you cannot argue it is my own work. Why I should not take? Whenever your work is produced, it is one new output. So just like when you are taking somebody else's work, you are respecting by giving that work credit, no, by giving the citations, no. Same way you should be capable of giving the same thing to the participant also, I mean for your own paper also. So you should not even involve in self plagiarism and claim that it is my own work, why I should no cite my paper. But you should not do self citation just for the sake of increasing your citations, right? You should not involve no say no plagiarism no for the sake of increasing your citations. But if it is a real extension of your existing work, you can think of going ahead. Okay, who is a gift author, who is a ghost author, who is a guest author? Who is a gift author, who is a ghost author, who is a guest author? Yes, real research takes a lot of time. Yes. Ghost is someone who is not contributed. Okay. What about gift and guest? Gift author, guest author. Okay. Guest contributed some part, not necessarily. If you contribute, you are eligible for author. Right? Even if it is a small contribution, you have made a contribution means you are eligible for authorship. Okay, let me put this question. Okay. Okay, let me give you this question. Okay, I will give you this question. Who is qualified to be an author? Who is qualified to be an author? Who is qualified to be an author? Not necessarily. No. Who is qualified to be an author? The one who conducts the research. Okay, good. See, who is eligible for author means any person who makes, I am repeating, any person who makes intellectual contribution to the study qualifies to be an author. Any person who makes intellectual contribution to the study qualifies to be an author. Right? Any person who makes intellectual contribution. By that way, your supervisor can also become an author. All right, provided your supervisor reads your article, give lot of comments, criticisms. All right, no, then you can go for no, he is eligible for authorship. So basically, who is eligible for author means a person who makes intellectual contribution to the study is the author. Okay. So there is one such case which happened in Iran, I think. Right. Fake authorship. Right. What happened? Researchers in Iran have lost their 2019 paper on nanofluids after the journal learned that their list of authors included uh, an engineer at the University of Texas who had nothing to do with the work. So, who are ghost authors? Ghost authors are those who contribute substantially but are not acknowledged, often paid by commercial sponsors. Then, who comes guest authors? All right, ghost authors means I write, you claim authorship. So, you say, sir, you write the paper and give 10,000 rupees, I will pay you, or 20,000 papers, bugs, I will pay you. So, you write the paper and give it to me. I will claim authorship. That is called as ghost authors. What is guest authors? Who do not make any contribution but are listed just to help increase the chances of publications. Say, for example, I am a Q1 journal editor, reputed editor. So you are telling, sir, I will add your name, sir, so that no, if the journal sees your name along as co-author, they will accept. So that is called as guest author. That is also not allowed. Then there is a gift authors. Gift authors means he is my brother, he is my friend, so let me give one authorship. That is called as gift authorship. Okay. All these three is considered to be unethical. All these three is considered to be unethical. Right? So do not involve in gift, ghost, or gift authorship. How many of you are aware of salami slicing? How many of you are aware of salami slicing? How many of you are aware of salami slicing? Okay, good. One. Okay, good. Yes, okay, very good. Dividing one meaningful work into many papers. Very good. Correct. So, yes. What is slicing of research? Which means you form one meaningful paper. The slicing of research that would form one meaningful paper into several different papers is called salami publication or salami slicing. This is not like duplicate publication, which involves reporting the exact same data in two or more publication. But instead, salami slicing involves breaking up or segmenting a large study into two or more publications. So often these segments are known as slices. Right? As a general rule, all right, as long as the slices of broken up study share no the same hypothesis, right? The same population, the same methods. This is not at all no acceptable practice, right? That is not an acceptable practice. The same slice should never be published twice, right? That is there. Now, okay. What is the question? What is salami? Yeah, I will address during the Q&A session. Okay, I will tell you what is salami, right? So, as no, you should not supposed to do that, right? Salami slicing is not allowed. Okay, sir, is it unethical when we have two or more? See, very simple. Don't confuse salami slicing. Okay, where salami slicing means you have the same hypothesis, sir, same population. When you have two different dependent variables, how your hypothesis will continue to be the same? When you have two different variables, how will you publish same hypothesis in two different paper? Will you publish? No, no. What does see the last line as a general rule? Study share same hypothesis, same population, same method. Correct? Will you publish two papers with the same hypothesis? That is wrong. That should not happen. Right? That should not happen. That should never happen. Okay. Salami slicing, one such example, why it is treated wrong, that also I will discuss during the Q&A. Alright. So Norway no committee recommends probe into country's most productive researcher because every 3 to 5 day he was producing one paper. This is like voluntarily going and committing suicide. Right. Every 5 days, on an average, every 2 to 3 days, he was publishing a new study. Later on, a committee was appointed by NTNU, Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and they recommended investigation. And he was found he was duplicating lot of study in multiple journals, including references to irrelevant studies, producing articles containing keywords from paper mill, right? And he was faced 5 retractions. Correct. So please do not. All these are it is a big hit to your professional reputation. All right, professional reputation. So you should be very careful. The next one we are going to see is simultaneous submissions. What is simultaneous submission? Submitting one paper simultaneously to two journals. No, that is simultaneous submission. You should not do like that. Okay, duplicate or even in the form of multiple publications without full cross-reference, either sharing same hypothesis, it should not happen. So the simultaneous submission can happen in 3 forms. It can either be a literal duplication, or it can be a partial duplication, or even duplication by paraphrasing. Whatever it may be, simultaneous submissions are not allowed. Right? So simultaneous submissions are considered unethical because it is indirectly double counting, or inappropriately you are weighting the no results of a single study, which distorts the available evidence. So you are not supposed to do that. If you submit to your journal, wait for the decision. Once it gets rejected, you submit it for other journals. All right. Until such time, you should wait. Okay. No, for your personal benefit, simultaneously giving it to two different things. Right. So there is a committee on publication ethics guidelines. So withdrawing an article from an, you all know, right? COPE. How many of you are aware of COPE? COPE, COPE, which is Committee on Publication Ethics, right? So I'm going to take few snapshots, which no, some of you might frequently have this question. Sometimes I have also come across these questions, all right, from the participants also. How to deal in these kinds of cases. So we are in the end of our presentation. So in another hardly 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, we will close. We will be finishing. I will be finishing my presentation. Then I will be taking your questions in the chat box for Q&A. So sometimes first question that most of the people ask me, sir, by mistake I published my article in a predatory journal. Later on, I came to know it is a predatory journal. Can I submit? Can I resubmit the paper any other place? Because it is a predatory publisher, it is a predatory journal. Can I do that? What are the guidelines? If you have published your paper in a predatory journal, right, first you should seek for retraction from that journal. Retraction, you should request the editor or the publisher to retract your paper, right? So, but predatory publishers may resist withdrawal before getting publishers, before it getting published, you came to know it is a predatory journal. You can request for withdrawal, right? So authors can withdraw papers up to the point of copyright transfer. If the copyright is transferred, then it is very difficult. So if an article is published, it requires retraction before you go for republishing elsewhere, any other place. However, if the published version of the article exists elsewhere, it cannot be published again, as I'm telling, without retraction or withdrawal of earlier version. So, which means, say for example, you are encountered a situation where you published an article from a predatory journal and you wanted to resend it for publication to any other genuine journal. It is very much important that particular predatory publication is withdrawn. No such article exists elsewhere. You withdraw you without retractions or the withdrawal. This is true regardless of whether whether or not the authors agree to it or if the publisher is disputable. So it is very much important if you are thinking that article should be retracted or withdrawn. If that is article is retracted or withdrawn, you can go for resubmitting the paper. That is what Home guidelines is. Similarly, if most of the times the practical challenge you all face is what predatory publishers often ignore your request to withdraw or retract a paper, right? And those times you can at sometimes successful. Some authors were very successful in withdrawing their articles if they threaten legal action against the publisher, but you should always seek advice from your institution. Legal counsel is always recommended because you publish with your affiliation, huh? So you should be really careful. All right. So again, and then if you threaten them to legal action, they are ready to withdraw or retract the paper. Clear? Say for example, if there is no transfer of copyright happened at the predatory journal, you did not, and a paper could be published elsewhere at the discretion of the editor of the new journal. Okay, if you have not transferred any copyrights, they simply got money and published. Then it is the editor of the new journal who will take a call. All right, whether to accept your paper or not. In that case, you should give an editorial note explaining what has happened. Right. So you can, so COPE has come up with something called as Think, Check and Submit initiative, which provides a lot of, okay. Just give me a second. Okay. I will share my entire screen. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh. Okay, I will take you here. Okay. Right. I think if I'm correct. Okay. Yeah. See, this is Think, Check and Submit. Okay. This is one initiative, all right, where now it is introduced by Cope. Okay, are you interested in check to assess and then only submit? Okay, so you have this. Maybe if you want, I will copy this and paste this in your chat box also. Okay. Okay, so you can use this site, right? You can go books for book chapters, all the things it is there. Okay, checklist is there, right? See all this checklist you can submit answer these questions, and then it will give you. This is one. So you can also download a copy of the checklist, right? This is given by Scope. Sorry, not Cope. Sorry, right? Cope. So make use of these initiatives. Okay, make use of these initiatives. The link which I had shared with you, so that no, you can utilize that initiative to predatory. No, somebody asking what to do with predatory. This is what you can do. Okay. Then what is the next one? Okay, let me share my screen again. One second. Yes. Yes. So use that initiative, no think, check, and submit initiative, which provides various tools to help the researchers identify trusted journals to publish their research. COPE also sometimes recommends editors communicate with all authors in avoid such situations where authors have not given consent for publication, is not aware that the work has been submitted also, right? So you can follow those guidelines. Second one, how now? Second popular question that I'm always that most of us have doubt: handling previously published material as conference. Sir, I published some of my article as predatory. Sorry, not predatory. In the conference proceeding, can I resubmit it for the journal? Right? Can I resubmit it for the journal? Right? Journals should have a policy on whether they should consider publication in conference proceeding. It is up to the journal policy. So journals will have a policy whether they are ready to accept conference proceedings, prior publication as conference proceedings as this thing. So republication should include full disclosure of prior publication in a conference proceeding and the citation. Right? Authors should provide a proof of permission to publish if necessary, because publishing in some conference proceeding might involve assigning copyrights. So other alternate approach, add some more content or make some changes so that it is like a new article that is sufficient, different from conference proceeding paper to made it for publication in its own rights. Okay, 3. Next, I republished work which is based on a retracted article. Okay, I am republishing a work, but that article is based on a retracted one. So what does scope retraction guideline state? An author may republish some of the work if some of the content was found to be reliable. In order to do so transparently, authors, as I told earlier, you should notify the editors of the journal that the material that you submitted is for prior retraction. It is usually appropriate to cite the retraction, indicating why the work was flawed and what is omitted or corrected in the new article. So permission to republish also needs to be agreed with the copyright holder. So whenever you as an author cite an original paper, it should be made clear that the paper has been retracted, and the DOI of the retracted notice should also be cited if necessary. So sometimes you see banning of authors from publications. All right, what does the COPE talk about that? COPE does not recommend banning authors because of the potential for legal practices to reputation discrimination or in restricting access to publications. So, but here in this case, journals can take a call whether they wanted to. They can take legal advice on sanctions that involves publication bans, especially if operating in geographic regions. So journals are allowed to take a call whether to blacklist the author or not. So the last one is with regard to AI tools. Authorship and AI tools. What is the COPE guidelines? AI tools can never be author, so you cannot call any AI tool as as author for your paper. because they are not a legal entities, nor they have any presence or absence of conflict of interest, nor they can manage copyright or license agreement. As authors, if you are going to use any AI tools in writing of a manuscript, or if you are going to produce images or graphical elements of the paper, or you are using your any AI tool in data collection and analysis, you must be transparent in disclosing it in the materials and methods section with regard to how did you use the AI tool and which AI tool was used. So as authors, you are fully responsible for your content in the manuscript, even though even those parts produced by an AI tool are thus liable for any breach of publication ethics. Right? So that's it for the day. Thank you so much once again, Union Christian College and other associated colleges for having considered me as a resource person, having given me this opportunity. And once again, a sincere thanks to all five colleges who are jointly organizing this program for the benefit of the academic community as well. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good learning experience both yesterday and as well as today. Looking forward to meet you all in some other session in a better with some other topic related to research. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed and very enlightening section that we had, sir, here. Well, actually, starting from somewhere in 1951 about the HeLa cells and also cases of retractions and also falsification and fabrication and also corporate accountability. Such cases have been very in with great detail explained. And so we're very happy and also really excited to have had this very animated session. This I feel personally is one area where many are yet to be, enlightened and educated. So I'm extremely thankful, sir, to have you here with us, Dr. Gowtham Ramkumar. The clarity and the depth with which you have explained these ethical complex issues have truly enriched our understanding and will also, I suppose, greatly influence our approach to ethical research projects. So I now would like to open up this time for Q&A. We still have another 10 minutes of time, after which I request one of our colleagues to propose the vote of thanks. But so before that, there are some questions here which you have in the chat box. So if you could kindly take some of those very relevant.
Sure. Yeah. So what happens if we have used the paper which is retracted? What we have referred, it was not retracted. Okay. So I told no in my presentation also, right? That was one of the area which I addressed also. COPE guideline clearly says if you have taken your base paper was a retracted paper once, you can still cite them with the retraction notice. With the retraction notice, DOI also you should cite. You can cite because you feel some part of it is reliable and you have worked on it. All right, you can still cite the retracted paper with the retracted notice also. That should also be cited as well. All right. Okay, if another researcher cites our paper with wrong year instead of, say, for example, 1957 instead of 2018, how to correct the authors? Write to the mail ID stating that the year is wrong and they should make a request to the publisher to make the corrections. Okay, that's how. You cannot do anything about it. Right, if somebody cites your paper with the wrong year, you can just intimate the author, I came across your paper citing my article, but you have cited a wrong year. Please intimate your publisher and ask them to rectify and come out with the edited one. Right. So that was, sir. What if the researcher is done an offline survey and we are not able to submit the, see, not submit, how you will not be able to submit the data file, no? You will be converting it into quantitative, no? Even if you collect it as an offline, you will enter the data in SPSS, no? That is the data file they want, right? So will they be able to find out if the data is manipulated, since most of the students, that and all, there are a lot of techniques, don't worry, right? There are a lot of techniques like saying, we call it as saying. Most of the students do this, no? 55555, 44444, 3333 when they link the data. That and all we can easily find out. Don't worry. They have the dedicated statistical team to trace out all such things. So we can. So if a paper is presented and published in a conference proceedings, if it is in a conference proceedings, it can be sent to the journal, but you should intimate the journal that it is already published as a conference proceeding. If the journal has if they are ready to accept, they will accept. Otherwise, they will not accept. All these points I already answered in my questions, right? You should maintain the safeguard your data. Okay, you should safeguard the data for confidentiality, right? So how to know if a journal is a predatory is that can be one big session only. How to identify predatory journals can be one dedicated session, right? But as I told you, you can take support of this think check and this thing now, which is given by Cope to at least find out those journals. Some journals take too long time to respond. What to do in such a case? No choice. You have to wait. That's why journal selection is also hard. That can be another one big session. That can be another one big session on how to select the right journals. That can be one another 2 hour session. There can be one another 2 hour session on how to identify predatory journals. It's a big topic, right? Is it unethical when we have, when I think I addressed during my this thing itself that no, no, when you have two or three different variables, there could not be any repetition of hypothesis. Okay, then I'm scrolling up. Sir, what happens if we have used, okay, this I have already cited, this I have already. Sir, what if an institution do not have an ethics committee, you recommend them to constitute an ethics committee? Sir, what if an online survey, I think the same got repeated. Sir, won't a researcher indulge in manipulating data when he or she doesn't get a data within a stipulated time? All right, how can, that's why whenever you are going to do your, before conducting research, you should always do something called as feasibility analysis. Sometimes you might be very novel, but will you be able to collect the data at the right time? No, within a stipulated time. All right, you should do all this feasibility check before you conduct your research. So there are times when we share a Google form, it is copied and floated. Yes, that could also one of the reasons. How to, is there any other open access tool? Which, there are a lot of, there is something called profiling, no, but it's a paid service which you can use. So you have to be careful. Okay. Is there any other questions that I missed out? What is a predatory journal? Predatory journal is like they don't follow any of the ethical policies in publication. They tell you pay 20,000 rupees. I will publish your paper tonight. Some journals are Scopus indexed, but the website and the editor's email ID is on Gmail. That is always questionable. That is always questionable. You should be really careful. Right? What is data file for purely qualitative study? Probably your interviews, right? You must have recorded the interviews, right? Correct? Telephonic interview or sting, right? You would have had this interview schedules, interview recordings. So that could be submitted. The way you have recorded the responses, that will come for qualitative study. What is the best AI software for plagiarism? Don't go for any AI tool for plagiarism. That will multiply your plagiarism. Give, if you wanted to do plagiarism check, give it to your university, no, librarian, and do the plagiarism check. How to detect cloned journals with AI being very dominant now. As I told, there are a lot of ways to check cloned journals, not with AI. There is there, if you just go to know, put predatoryjournals.com. There is lot of journals which are given there as predatory journal. Any AI meant for questionnaires? That's a good question, right? But to be honest, I'm telling you, I have not used any AI tool so far in any of these areas. Right? Most maximum I use AI to improvise the language. That's all. All right. Any AI you can use ChatGPT also. It will give you a lot of questions. Right? ChatGPT will give you anything. Is short Sudhi good for plagiarism check? Good only. But I will always recommend go to your university. All your if you are affiliated to state university also they will have the plagiarism check because without plagiarism check they cannot process your thesis. Correct? No, so you approach them and contact them. Any more questions? Okay, then I feel your thank you so much once again to the management of all the five colleges for taking considering me. It's a very good experience with you all, and I hope you all also had a very good learning experience both yesterday and today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Resource person in a fourth technical session today, Dr. Gowtham Ramkumar, Christ University, Bangalore. This has been a very insightful session, perhaps a relatively lesser known area. So I would now like to invite Dr. Chintu Mara. He's also one of our colleagues, assistant professor, Department of Anthropology from one of our partnering colleges, Tura Christian College. So, sir, I would now like to request you to kindly propose a word of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Chintu.
Thank you, sir, for the time. Good evening to everyone. First of all, it is an honor for me to be the part of this fourth day faculty development program and to share a word of thanks on the technical session on the topic ethical foundations of research. First of all, I, on behalf of this organizing committee, would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Gowtham Ramkumar, Christ University, Bangalore. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and sharing with us your knowledge and equating us with your vast knowledge on the research ethics. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you so much. I also would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our today's chairperson, Sir Mr. J.L. Nunglet, for executing today's program systematically. Thank you, sir, for your time. And I would also love to thank you all the esteemed participants for your time. I hope we have all have gained a lot of information from today's session. So thank you all. And finally, I must thank the organizing committee for the opportunity of sharing the word of thanks. So thank you, everyone, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Chintu Mara. So from the organizing committee and the host institution, sir, once again, thank you very much, our resource person, Dr. Gowtham Ramkumar. We look forward, sir, to be having you in other sections in the near future with your vast knowledge in this area and how relevant it is for upcoming researchers here. So we would wish that you would come join us, and look forward to be receiving your insightful sessions again in the next coming future. I would also like to thank Dr. Chintu Mara, Assistant Professor Department of Anthropology, Tura College, for proposing the vote of thanks. All the partner colleges, the principals, and then our support team here for enabling us to have this on this online platform seamlessly. And most importantly, I must also thank all the animated today, because it is more animated because the chat was built today here. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next 2 more days, and then to have the final day on the valedictory. And even as we retrospect, perhaps these are some of the most resourceful 6 days perhaps in our academic journey and career progression here. I would also like to place on record Organizing Secretary Dr. B.L. Mawlai and also Johnston Nongle for giving us this continual support that we require for this. Thank you all very much, and we hope to see you tomorrow again. And from our end, sir, it's organizing committee, sir. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Gowtham Ramkumar. And
Thank
then
you, sir. Thank you.
We still have this open communication for our near future lineup, association again. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night, Dr. Gautam. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.